Hello everyone! Today I want to teach you how to paint fog using watercolor. This inspiration comes from growing up as a youth in Washington. Many of you heard Washington rains a lot, and the answer is yes, it does. Before we jump into the painting, let's talk about the supplies we're going to use. We're painting here on 100% cotton, cold pressed paper, and I'm primarily just using 3 brushes, a detailed and 2 small round brushes. I decided to do this as a monochromatic, which is simply using one color for the entire painting. And I wanted to do that because it allowed me to focus on the value between the pigment from the darks all the way into the light, which oftentimes is found in a foggy day. The 2 main brush techniques that I want you to be aware of is a wet-on-wet brush technique and then a dry brush technique. Because watercolor works naturally, fusing itself across the page, wet on wet is a wonderful way to create that value change from your dark colors to your very light, which works great when it comes to fog. The dry brush technique is after the page is dry, and it's specifically used for details that are closest to you as the observer. So let's start off first with the sky. I like to wet down both sides of my page so that way it's full wet on wet technique. Now I noticed I should have included a little bit more pigment in my sky because after it dried, watercolor naturally dries lighter than it goes on the page, and I wish it had a little bit more contrast. But I'm always learning, always looking for ways to improve. Now, starting with the furthest distant landform, I do like to create a very light edge of where that landform is. And then using the wet on wet technique, I like to include or add clean water to the paint and pigment that's underneath it. This will allow it to fade out down below. Now, when looking at the reference, you can see that the sharp lines or the lines of the formation disappear into the distance. How that's accomplished is with that clean water, pulling the pigment down until it disappears and allow it to naturally fade out into the distance. After the formations that are farthest away from you are formed, you want to start working closer to you on the page. That's by increasing the value, but still following the same technique. You're still adding pigment to create an edge and then adding clean water underneath that pigment to dilute it to allow it to fade out. But because the value of the pigment is stronger, the viewer will naturally think it's closer to you than the landforms that are behind it. The other strategy you can do to create that distance is by lightly overlapping each of these different landforms. Because naturally, if something overlaps something in nature, it means it's closer to you as the observer. So now let's focus on the foreground. This is with the dry brush technique. This allows you to create detail that's closest to the observer, and it allows you to create that distance that you're looking for in this scene. Now, the dry brush technique is after you've let your page completely dry. You don't want the page to be wet because you aren't looking for a blending. You want it to capture detail as your brush spreads across it. Now, the paper naturally has a tooth or a texture to it. So you want to take your brush, and after putting your water and pigment on it, you want to turn it basically almost horizontal to your page, and you're dragging the side of your brush across the page. Not straight on, because that will bring more water onto your page. You want to drag it across very lightly. And as you do this, the paint will naturally hit the bumps and the tooth and the roughness of your page, creating that technique. And then I like coming in with the detail brush afterwards and then adding some deep rocks with some large value in comparison. So there you have it, a quick review on the process of painting fog. Remember that it's a process of creating that atmosphere and mist that can be found naturally out there in nature. Remember that if it's farther away from you, it needs to have less detail and it needs to be more blurred. And anything that's closer to you has more detail and a sharper value. If you had an opportunity yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and join me each week here for additional painting tips. Thanks again. Have fun painting.